Hey everyone, it's Ryan Henry, and thanks for watching this new episode of the Bright Ideas Podcast. What do we do here? Well, each episode we talk to a small business owner about their career and their journey into entrepreneurship, with the goal of not only inspiring you to start that business you've been thinking about, but to promote the products or services of our guests on each episode. And today we have Amanda Dolph, owner of Dolph Notary Services, right?
That's correct.
Awesome. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. So, Amanda, let's talk about at the beginning of your career. What were your first steps like as you entered the workforce?
Well, it depends on how you look at it. I started babysitting at 10 years old.
Okay.
So that was my first.
So you had the entrepreneurial spirit
Yes.
very early.
Yeah, and that was during the blizzard of 74.
Oh, wow. Okay. So
No, 78.
78.
78? Was that the blizzard?
I keep hearing about it. I wasn't quite around yet, but I heard about
Well, I was born in 68, so if I was 10, it was
78.
78.
Yes.
Okay, that makes more sense.
So were you actually at someone's home watching their children when people weren't able to leave their house or go anywhere?
Yeah, there were people that absolutely had to. They were, most of them were in healthcare and had to go into work anyways. So I would go to their house and play with the kids, or sometimes we clean. A couple of the families trusted me enough to allow me to cook. You know, like I didn't use the stove, but the microwave was okay.
Okay. Now, what was your go-to meal in the microwave to cook when you were babysitting?
Hot dogs.
Okay.
Hot dogs.
All right.
That was the easiest thing to go in there. You know you weren't going to start a fire.
Okay, that's fair. So now to put it in perspective, because I know we've had some really lousy snowstorms in recent history, but the blizzard of 78 was just totally a monumental once-in-a-lifetime event, right?
Oh, yes, yes. I've never seen snow that high since then.
Wow. So knock on wood that it's going to be a long time before we have to deal with that again.
Well, I would say the second most snow I've ever seen was my son was a baby, and me and my niece, she stayed all night. We took him out on a sled. I fastened his car seat to the sled. So that was the winter of 93.
Okay.
That was the last really big snowstorm that I remember.
Okay. So 10 years old, you start babysitting. And then as you graduate high school, what did your next steps look like as you wrapped up high school?
Well, while I was in high school, I worked at Dairy Queen.
Okay.
And Rally's.
Okay.
So I started at Dairy Queen, jumped over to Rally's, didn't like it, decided I liked Dairy Queen better. So I went back to Dairy Queen.
Okay. So you kind of explore a little bit and go, this isn't quite my thing. So
Yeah.
Okay, so then what were your next steps? So working at Dairy Queen, working at Rally's, working at Dairy Queen, you're building that strong work ethic as you get older.
Yes.
So let's say now, flash forward to you're an adult. What were those steps?
What were those steps? Let's see. I'm trying to think. I did a lot of warehouse work. That was my first real job as an adult. It was working in warehouses, being pickers, where you push a cart around and
You grab all the
merchandise and put it in the right bin so that you can take that bin over to a packer.
Okay.
And that packer would find the shipping label and pack it up and ship it out.
Okay.
So I did that as well. I did quality control. I work in the trafficking office, printing out the packing slips.
Okay, so as the orders come in, you print them, get them out to the warehouse, so then they could go pick the orders.
I put the carts together, so we knew how, based on the box size, how much was going to be able to go on each cart. So I would coordinate how much for each cart and put it out there.
Oh, nice.
So
at what point did you decide working for someone else just isn't going to happen and I've got to go into business for myself?
Well, that was after the warehouse, I transitioned into advertising and marketing at the Indianapolis Star. I was there for 23 years.
Oh, wow.
After 21 years, I got laid off. But they're like, hey, come on, you can reapply and come back.
Oh, no.
I was like, do I really want, because I was on the top of the pay scale, made pretty good commission. I was like, well, yeah, I might as well go back. But they neglected to tell me I was coming back at
lower tier.
No, the very low.
Oh, no. So
I'd start all over again.
Oh, no. So after all that time of building up seniority and better pay, and they just said, hey, why don't you come back as entry level after?
You're more than welcome to reapply, they said.
So,
And it was in a different department. It was in employment advertising. So I was able to come back and I gained some valuable digital marketing experience. I actually asked while I was there if other teams were training on a product or service that I wasn't familiar with. I'd be like, hey, do you mind if I sit in on your team meeting? Because I really think it would be beneficial for me. So I was always thinking ahead, that I knew that, because when I started at the start, it was all print. There was no digital.
right.
And I saw the writing on the landscape that things were changing. So the whole time I was there, anytime I had an opportunity to take additional training or learn a new skill or tool, I was always open for that.
So you were always looking for that new skill to build, or
Yes.
how to make sure that you were still relevant at the company as technology evolved.
Yes, you always have to make sure that you stay relevant. So you always have to constantly be improving yourself and your skills, whether that's interpersonally or, again, the skills and tools that you have to offer a prospective employer in the future.
So let's dig into that a little bit. So selling advertising for the Indianapolis Star, that meant you had to have really good communication skills because you're reaching out to local businesses, right? So talk about, as you got into that role, how did you go about acquiring all of those skills to be able to pick up the phone or walk into someone's business and get them to say, yes, this is what I want to do?
Well, it was very important that you knew the products and services you were offering, and you had to be very detail oriented and know absolutely everything about it. So you don't want to come across as not knowing what you're talking about, unknowledgeable. Because if you're unknowledgeable, they're going to be hesitant to purchase from you. And when you make those initial calls, don't be kind of wishy-washy. Speak with confidence.
Give them a straight answer.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when you leave the voicemail, I recommend having a script set up, something that you practice and rehearse, so that when you leave it, you're not fumbling over your words. So I had a list of different scripts that I put together.
Oh, nice.
And I would use it as like, okay, I'm following up on last month's call, so I'm going to use this script if they don't answer.
So you weren't just leaving the same message time after time after time. It was always something different.
Yeah, so they didn't think it was just robotic, that I genuinely cared about their needs.
Okay. So as the internet comes along, IndyStar starts offering a digital version as well as the paper version that you could buy out of a machine or at the convenience store or anywhere else. So how did your job role transition as the internet became a more dominant part of the newspaper?
Well, instead of fax and telephone, it was a lot of email. And right before I left, we were starting to be able to text our customers as well.
Okay.
So it was constantly, as technology was improving, we were constantly adding different services
So
or ways to reach out to them. And then of course, back in the day, we used a paper calendar to write down when we called them. And, we're going to call them. Okay, we'll go over here on the calendar and put it on. And it was a CRM, customer relationship manager, is so important. You have to be able to keep track of your communication with the customer and schedule future reach out. So a good CRM is very important to have for any company.
But at the beginning, it was just writing a prospect's name on a certain date on your calendar so you know when to call them. So you had to make sure that after that call, you flip to wherever you need to be and write their name again, right?
Yeah.
So the CRM really kind of takes all that guesswork out of keeping up with people.
Instead of relying on me to remember.
Right? I have a tendency to remember things right after they were supposed to happen. And go, oh no, I was supposed to do that.
Yes.
So let's pick a little bit of fun for a minute, because fax machines just aren't common anymore. In fact, I remember as a kid that you could go to the grocery store and you could fax things if you had to. They don't do that anymore. Let alone if you could even find an employee going to the store. So let's tell some of the younger viewers here what this device, a fax machine, was and what it did.
It was a way of sending a document to a second party, but it was more like you were taking a picture of it and sending it over the telephone line and having it print out on the other end.
And it made a lot of crazy noises if you happen to call the
Yes.
fax number.
Now, when I started at the Star, we had three. I was in advertising. There were three big fax machines, and my job when I started was there'd be stacks like that on each one, and I would take them off. Who are they wanting to give this to? Okay, so I would write down in a log who I gave it to, staple it together, run it out to them, come back, and there'd be another stack.
Oh, geez. So it was nonstop.
Yeah, when I first started.
So email kind of put an end to that.
Oh yeah.
No longer.
It was slow. It was a slow start to get the email thing going. But once it did, the fax machines went by the wayside. There was hardly anything that came in there. It probably took about, after we started email, probably 2.5, 3 years before fax was completely gone.
So it was just a gradual decline as email took on more dominance. Okay. So you're selling advertising. You're no longer at the Indy Star, and then they ask you to come back.
Yeah, they said I was welcome to reapply.
And so, did you, or did you just decide, no, this isn't going to work?
Yeah, I reapplied and came back. Instead of the classified advertising, where I did the legal advertising for 11 years, I reapplied and came back as employment advertising.
So then what was the difference in the two roles? So legal, you mean like the legal notices that they print
went
in the paper?
Yeah.
And so now employment, which is businesses trying to hire somebody,
Yep.
right?
Yep, I was selling all the digital products that they had available. They had launched their own, and for the life of me, I can't think of the name of it. It was supposed to compete with Monster and Indeed and all that, but I forget the name of it.
Uh-oh.
But we also had where you could target cell phones, and like if
Like geofencing type of thing?
geofencing, yeah.
Okay.
so if it's like a truck driving convention, you can geofence anybody within there and target them for their driving skills.
Ah, interesting. So, and that's technology that today is employed kind of everywhere with advertising. So if you're using Google or any of the social media networks, you could say, I want people in a particular location plus additional interest. So you're able to fine tune your outreach rather than just throwing newspapers out in the street and hoping someone picks it up.
So have you ever driven by Mike's Car Wash and your phone goes ding, ding? Oh, they're offering me the monthly membership at half price for a year.
No, I haven't seen those.
You haven't?
No. Now, one thing I need to disclose about myself, I am extremely distrustful of technology. So while I'm excited to see all this new technology that does this cool stuff, I think the newest thing I own right now is my laptop, and that's like 1 or 2 years old. I'm using a printer that's 15 years old, another one that's almost 20 years old, because
Do you have a smartphone?
Yes, I do.
Oh, you do?
And I have every possible privacy feature shut off. Like,
okay.
It's like as secure as I can make it because I know it's out there. And the more you understand the technology and how it can integrate into your life or suggest things, the more it should terrify us all. So yeah, the driving past the car wash and getting a coupon, no, that would freak me out. And honestly, I personally would be angry. Like, how dare you track me like
I
this?
got that before clicking it. I pulled in. I was like, hey, I just got, is this really you got? Yeah, that's us. Okay, I'll take it. So anytime stuff like that comes across, I always verify before I be clicking anything.
Yes, and that's a very good lesson for everyone here, because as technology continues to evolve, so do the people trying to take advantage of people who are generally trusting individuals. So now I hear the conversation all the time, oh, I was talking with someone at home, maybe my spouse, about a certain item, and now I'm getting ads for it everywhere. That's stuff that really... It's a great thing to the business to be able to target someone who, clearly expressed an interest in a product. But as the consumer, like I don't know, maybe it's just contradicting myself.
Kind
Like,
of makes you wonder, was it your cell phone or was it your Alexa or Siri that overheard that?
yeah, which
And passed
one
your
of your
information
assistants
on?
said, "Hey, this person wants to buy something."
Yeah.
So,
I never forget the time I opened up Facebook and all of a sudden I was having ads for chicken, to set up a chicken coop. And I'm like, when did I ever say I wanted to set up a chicken coop?
maybe they wanted
Okay.
to embrace the idea of farm to table.
Yeah, could be.
You know, I don't know. It's the weirdest thing. So I watch a lot of stuff streaming. I very seldom watch over-the-air television or cable television anymore. It's just, you know, ads. Now, I make fun of the ads because, you know, generally I, you know, find it amusing how they try to, you know, get you to want to buy a product. But like if you're watching television where they don't target anymore, or you know it's just being broadcast for everyone that's watching that channel, sometimes the ads are just clearly not like you're not the person they're trying to reach. And as you move more towards the web and smartphones and streaming television, the ads are getting more sophisticated because they know why you need or why you want whatever they're offering you. So,
Yeah.
except my biggest frustration is getting food, like restaurant ads, after they've already closed. Because, you know, 10:30 at night, sometimes Chili's looks pretty good,
Yeah.
but they're closed. Or I'm not going out, it's 10 at night. And so,
Yep, that's true.
this technology was really starting to take hold while you were at IndyStar. So it's the very baby steps of being able to go, hey, let's customize it to this person rather
Yeah.
than just put it out there. So how did your journey with them come to a conclusion?
I was laid off for a second time in January 1st of 2020, right as the pandemic hit.
Oh, wow. So COVID hadn't even started yet, and then they just decided that you were no longer part of their team.
Yeah, I had, before that, me and another girl, we were trying, we had talked, you know, we log into all these apps to do our job, and it's not tied here to the building. We could do this at home. So we pitched working remotely from home. They're like, no, we worked hard to build a team environment. And then, they
And
laid
now
me
everyone
off.
works from home.
And then everybody that was still there got to work from home. I was like, I told them that. When they said no, I was like, well, are you watching the news? Have you seen China? Something is coming, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And then I get laid off.
They're like, she knows too much.
She's right.
Right? We can't possibly have an employee that's ahead of the curve on something than their boss, which kind of sounds like what they did. Excuse me. So, all right, January 2020, you find yourself back in the job market, yourself looking for something.
And they're like, oh, you can reapply to come back. And I'm like, nah, no.
Wait. So you could start again from square one.
Yeah. I'm like, no. Because when I got my first full 2-week paycheck after coming back, it was less than 1 week of unemployment. That's how low the pay was.
So clearly going back is not an option here.
Yeah.
So is this when you decided, okay, screw the corporate world, I'm going to go do my own thing?
Well, I was looking at jobs, applying, and there just wasn't anything available. And I'm like, well, there has to be something that I could do for myself, where I can be my own boss. And somehow I got connected with a headhunter. I don't know if it's because I was on unemployment or not, but
Targeted advertising.
could be. Anyway, she did like a mini interview with me, and then she set up 3 assessments that I took
Okay.
online. And then she called back and was like, hey, I have some news for you. You were matched with, and said notary signing agent. And I was like, what? What's that? She said, oh, well, that's where you close out real estate transactions. But you do it like at their home or at a restaurant, bookstore, library, wherever. And I was like, okay, well, how do I get into that? And at that time, she's like, I honestly don't know. She had no idea.
So she knew how to match you with a skill, but not how to take the steps of entering that career.
Yeah, because at that time, there was no step-by-step guideline. No one had put one together. And so I'm like, well, obviously you have to have your notary, so let's start there. So before I applied for my notary license, I went ahead I built my website,
Okay.
set up my email, got my business line, all that. Then I applied for my notary commission, and there are these notary directories where, like, if you're going to look for a notary, you go onto that directory and it'll let you put in a location and it helps you find a notary in your area. So I did all that, nothing. And so I got online and found some notary websites or groups, and I was like, why is nobody calling? And they're like, well, do you have your title processor license so you can do real estate? I was like, no, I had no idea what that was.
So it's an example of you learn things you need to know as you need them right now.
Yeah.
So before we go forward here, let's talk about what exactly is a notary.
A notary is I guess they consider us a public employee. We're commissioned by the state of Indiana to act as their agent to notarize and verify documents. We're verifying your identity, your willingness to sign, and your signature on the actual document.
So it's vouching that the person who signed that document is who they say they are.
And they're doing it willingly.
They're doing it at their own will and presumably not under the influence of something that would affect their ability to sign a binding document.
Yeah.
So a notary is an extremely important and essential part of a real estate transaction, but there's other legal documents that need to be notarized, right?
Yes. You have your power of attorney, guardianship, healthcare directives, trust documents. If you're going to set up your estate, there's several documents within your estate packet that would need to be notarized. When you apply for your passport, if you're going to travel overseas, there are certain documents that have to be notarized. And then, I'm trying to think, you're going to sell a car. Like if you're selling a car to someone here in Indiana, you don't technically have to notarize the deed. But if you're selling to somebody, I believe it's in Michigan and Illinois, they have to have it notarized. So if they go to title it in their state, it has to be notarized.
Okay. And so that means there's a ton of things that someone needs your assistance with. So, okay, you find you get your notary commission and you're not getting calls, and someone asks you, do you have your title license, which allows you to notify documents in a real estate transaction, right?
Yes.
So it's a new certification that you have to have on top of your existing notary commission. So what happens from there?
From there, I went out and uploaded my credentials, like my title processor license. You have to have special errors and omissions license. You have to have a bond to go with your notary commission. And then some title companies like to have training certificates. So I did the National Notary Association's signing agent training. That was very good about the professional portion of it, like how to dress, how to talk, what to say when you call to confirm, all that, what to do while you're there, how to send the documents back. But after my first closing with just that training, it was evident I needed a little more training. I needed to know a little more about these documents. While I can't go over your facts and figures with you, if you ask me what's your interest rate, I know exactly where in the packet you can find it at.
Okay.
What's my, is there a penalty for late payment? I can show you where to find it in the documents.
Okay.
But I can't tell you what it is.
So, but you have to...
I have to know, if you have a question about something that's in the documents, I can point you in the right direction.
So now you have this additional training. So let's talk about how was it building up a book of clients, essentially finding the business where you go in, you notarize something, you get paid, you're on your way. How'd that journey look of getting your first clients?
Those started coming in consistently after I put my name out on all those notary directories.
Okay. So it's an industry where you don't always need a notary, but when you need one, you need one. And you don't have to have people come to a particular location. You'll go to wherever they are or
Yes.
wherever the transaction is happening. So you're on these directories, the phone's starting to ring. So how was your first year of business? Would you say you made more than you did at your previous job, or was it continuing to build up?
No, it's not a boom, all of a sudden you're going to make all this money. It's a slow process. The first year I did it for 4 months that first year. And I was in the negative, like, after spending on all the tools I needed, my printers, my toner, my paper, the computer software. I had to do Microsoft 365, so I had access to all that stuff. To Outlook, my virus protection. I had to have extra layer of protection to protect the documents that I download.
Okay.
And then as I'm uploading them too, I wanted an added extra layer of protection.
So making sure that any documents you're trusted with, you're doing the absolute best job you can in keeping them secured. But you bring up a good point that first year you had a loss because you had to invest in all of these things for your business.
I had a huge loss after I paid for three. The NNA, loan signing system, and Notary Stars. I did three. And they were added all together. It was about $1,000
Okay.
in training.
So that's quite an investment just in training, and that doesn't count the software and everything else that you had to have. Now, you mentioned you're bonded, which is something that you don't always hear about, although when you see a general contractor or a roofer driving around, they always say, licensed and bonded on the truck. So what's the difference between having business liability insurance and being bonded?
Bonded protects the taxpayers of any errors that I would make. My business owner policy is like liability insurance for any mistakes that I make.
Okay. So two different things, but both are essential in
And then
your
you have your
industry.
errors and omissions too. As a notary, you're required to have errors and omissions to protect. Let's say I make a mistake on a loan document and 2 years later they want to come after me for it, my errors and omissions policy will cover that. Whereas my business owner policy more protects me if while I'm at someone's home,
So,
I break a chair I sit in or I scratch an antique table as we're writing
or if you yourself
back into
are
their
injured.
mailbox. Yeah.
Okay. So it's stuff that each thing protects something slightly different. So the business liability insurance protects the client's property if it's damaged in the course of serving them. Bonded protects the taxpayers if something goes sideways in any of those deals. And the error and omissions is if you make a mistake on the documents
Yes.
and there's a monetary loss associated with it. Okay, so that's a lot of coverage that you have to carry in your industry.
Yeah, the business owners, I carry $1 million policy. The errors and omissions, I carry $100,000. A lot of people will carry more. I'm not sure exactly why, because I've always been told that $100,000 is sufficient. So for those that carry more, perhaps they live in an area where they do closings on higher end homes, maybe $1 million homes. That would be the only reason I would think somebody would carry more than that. If you're going to do $1 million homes all the time, if you make a mistake on that transaction and you're going to have to pay a percentage, so you want to make sure you have sufficient coverage.
So that way your personal assets or business profits aren't at risk if something were to go wrong. But that's something that's important to talk about with an insurance agent, right? To make sure that whatever you're doing, you have adequate coverage in case it happens.
Absolutely.
So, okay, your first year of business, so you did 4 months, and then so let's call it your first total 12 months of business, not necessarily the first calendar year. What was the biggest lesson that you learned in your first 12 months as a business owner?
Let's see. I would probably say to make sure that you shop around for your products and services that you purchase for your business. Don't just automatically go to the store, and because there are so many different places where you can get discounted prices that you're going to eat into your profits if you don't take the time to search out the best prices for the materials you're going to use.
Okay. So look for competitive pricing and not just wander into the first store that you think of. And okay, so learning about how to keep costs controlled. So year 2 in business, how did things change for you?
Let's see. I would say I was more comfortable with the closings. I had better relationship with the clients, so I was able to, if they come to you and say, hey, I have this closing and it's this far from your home, it's this many pages, will you do it? And I don't feel like the price is going to cover
Your expenses.
my expenses and still make a profit, then I had built up enough rapport with them that I was comfortable enough to say, hey, I can't do it for what you're offering, but I will do it for the set amount.
So understanding the value of what you're doing for
Yes.
people. Excellent. So now, in the nature of the individual who may need the documents, there may not be a recurring need, but you're able to build relationships with companies that do things that frequently need. So, for example, the title companies where a real estate closing traditionally happens, you build the relationship with them. What are some of the other business types or industries that you look for relationships to get recurring business?
There are a couple of, I guess you would call them temporary employment.
So like employment agencies?
Yeah.
Okay.
Near me that they have to sign I forget the name of the document, but it's the same document every month. I'm always in there signing for them. So it's when they sign a contract to provide employment for their business.
So when they bring on a new client saying they're going to place people at their business, those documents have to be notarized.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's usually what I'm notarizing. Some months it's 2, maybe 3, but most months it's just 1. So I guess it depends on how many clients they take on, how many they need notarized.
So would attorneys be a good referral partner for you? Do they have a need to have things notarized?
If they're like, I have a small independent attorney that lives like 2 miles from me. Anytime he needs something notarized, he just calls me, or he has a link to my calendar. I do have a calendar link that I can send people, and it allows you to see open time slots, what's available, and then you can schedule it. I even opened up my available window from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. because I was getting a lot of calls for after 5 p.m. So I felt like I needed to open a bigger window of time for those that maybe work 9 to 5 and aren't able to get out.
So knowing when your clients need you. So what are some of the examples of things that a person would need you to travel to their home for?
Outside of real estate transaction, usually it's like a POA or healthcare directive. I do it a lot for perhaps somebody that's had surgery and can't get around real well, and they need somebody to be able to go to the bank or go pay bills or sign important documents for them. That's when they call me in to sign a POA.
And so you go to their home, you bring the documents with you, or do they provide the documents?
In that case, they would have the documents themselves.
Okay. So
Because in the state of Indiana, I am not allowed to draft any legal documents or give any advice about immigration documents. That's against the law. It's considered the illegal practice of law. So I always tell, if you're calling me and you want a POA or a healthcare directive, or you want to set up your will or what, you'll have to investigate that yourself.
you're just there to make sure that Joe Smith, who's signing this document, is Joe Smith, is in the right state of mind to sign it and is doing so freely.
Yes.
So, excuse me, a very specific lane that they expect you to maintain as a notary.
Yeah, yes. And we keep a logbook, and I've started to take detailed notes about what I am notarizing, and if I notice anything special, like perhaps the husband was a little bossy with the wife, perhaps. Any interpersonal interactions that I feel may be derogatory, I write them down on the bottom just in case I ever get a call.
So that way you can kind of pull it back up in your mind. Oh yes, I remember what was going on here. That these are the details that I've logged. So things that stick out to you about that unique interaction with people.
Yeah, yeah. Especially after getting a call from a detective, I had done a POA in a nursing home, and it wasn't your typical POA. It was for a woman whose son was going to be her POA. His girlfriend wrote up the document.
Oh.
And it was kind of unusual. I was like, okay, I don't know about this. But I read through it and it didn't seem hinky. I signed on the same page as his mother because I was notarizing her signature, and like 2 or 3 pages later he signed as the attorney, in fact, for his mother. And he dated. So this police detective calls me. He's like, yeah, on May of this year, you met with so-and-so at this nursing home, and I just have a few questions. And I was like, well, hang on.
Right, let me get my book.
Well, I log everything in my calendar. So I put what it was, the abbreviation for what it was, the last name of the person, and then the location.
Okay.
And so I was able to type in the name.
All the details.
And I brought it up. I said, you said May? He said, yeah, May. No, that was in April. She's like, are you sure? I said, yeah, it's right here on my calendar. I said, and they scheduled it themselves through my calendar link.
Okay.
So I was able to go into Calendly and print it off, showing where they had scheduled it.
So then you were able to turn over the details that you had to that detective, so whatever they were working on, they had, factual information that you sent.
So the son had swapped out that page that he signed and dated, trying to get the power of attorney to be effective a whole month early.
Oh, wow. So
I met them. I met them in May, and he backdated his to April.
wow. So it's just one of those examples of why it's important to keep good records in case something were to happen.
Yeah, that's why. After that call, that's when I started taking really detailed notes in case I get another call.
Right, because you want to make sure at the end of the day that you're doing all you can to make sure that everyone's playing by the rules.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's talk about probably the most important question we've covered yet. How does someone get a hold of you?
Oh, there's several ways to get a hold of me. You can reach me on my website, dolphnotaryservices.com, or you can call or text 317-527-1086.
And you mentioned that you have an online scheduling link. Can they find it on your website?
Yes, it's on my website. It's also, if you Google Dolph Notary Services, there is, I believe it says book. If you click that, it automatically takes you
from your Google listing.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So nice and convenient way to get a hold of Amanda for anything that you need notarized. You can call, you can text, you can visit the web. You could just schedule the appointment if you know when it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So let's talk about now looking into the future. So you're coming up on 6 years or at 6 years in business now, right?
Yeah.
And what does your business look like today? So you've built your client base, you've been able to serve folks, you've learned that you keep really good detailed records about every encounter. How does your business look different today than when you got started?
It looks a little different because I will say that when I first started out, the first 3 and a half years, I didn't network. I didn't feel like as a notary, why would I want to network? What was the importance of networking? And then last January 2025, I decided that I needed to put myself out there because I'm an introvert, a true introvert, and it makes me very uncomfortable to go into places I don't know anybody. So the first couple of times I went to networking, I sat in my car and cried.
Oh, no.
It didn't go in. I think it was like the third attempt that I finally felt comfortable enough, and it may have been one of your events that I was just like, I'm going to go in, darn it.
And now you're a seasoned expert.
Yeah. It's hard to tell where you might find me at.
Well,
Chamber events, a Rotary meeting, various different networking groups. You just never know.
yeah. And so that also emphasizes the importance of you got to put yourself out there and you got to tell people what it is you do and who you do it for, right?
Yes, absolutely.
You just never know where that next client comes from. So, as an introvert, you had a difficult time forcing yourself into these situations. But once you got into network meetings in general, what did you experience once you're in the room?
It's almost like as small business owners, there's a camaraderie. We want to see each other succeed, whether we're doing the same thing or we're doing something else. So when I meet somebody, I just don't give me the sales pitch. I like to get to know you, your background, and how you got into business so that I feel comfortable recommending you to somebody. So like at my network meeting on Monday, we started to go around and just do our usual, I'm with so-and-so, and I'm like, no, what's your backstory? I want to learn about you. So I had everybody at the table
Nice.
tell me how they got started so that I felt a little more human connection with them. So now when I hear somebody needing their services, they're in my mind because they gave me their backstory.
Nice. So illustrating that we all have a life outside of our business.
Yep.
Nice. So as you look to the future, what is one of your goals for your business by the time you hit that 10-year mark?
The 10-year mark? I would love to have the ability to bring in enough general notary work to help single stay-at-home moms make a little extra money. So maybe when the kids are at preschool or at school, they can run and do a POA or a car title or just something to help them bring in a little extra money to feed the kids or pay a utility bill or something.
Nice.
So do a little more giving back to the community in ways that would be beneficial to those stay-at-home moms.
Nice. So helping them establish themselves and come work under you, and then would the
Then
goal?
they can roll off, once they get a little experience, then they can roll off on their own, or they can, if I'm drawing in enough general notary work, I would like to just pass it out to them.
Nice. Okay. So kind of building your own employment agency of notaries.
Yeah, that would be my goal.
Nice. Okay. So one more time, tell everyone how they can get a hold of you.
Okay. You can reach me by text or phone to 317-527-1086. Or I have a website, dolphnotaryservices.com, or you can find me on Google.
Awesome. Well, Amanda, thank you very much for being our guest today. And for anyone watching this, for all of your notary needs, call Amanda Dolph, text her, visit her website, book your appointment online, however you like to do it. But don't risk putting your most critical documents just out there. Make sure you have someone who can verify that everyone is who they say they are, and that way everything is a smooth transaction or whatever that looks like for you. So thank you very much for watching this episode. If you liked what we did here today, make sure to like and subscribe. And if you know a small business owner that we should feature on a future episode, make sure to drop their name in the comments so we know who to look for. Thanks for watching, everyone.